And welcome. I totally just lost my train of thought. Anyways, Stamping A to Z is my weekly live card making tutorial. Not always card making, but mostly card making. Today I am featuring the Floral Charms Suite collection. I also had decided, sorry, I forgot to mute my iPad. So hopefully, I don't know, last week the comments weren't coming up. Hopefully they will come up this week. I always have issues with comments. Apparently it's not just a Facebook thing. Yeah, so the Floral Charm Suite is one of the online exclusives that's available. Something to note is hello, Linda. There we go. Comments are popping up. They're even popping up on my phone, which I hasn't done before. That's cool. All right. So there's a in color sale that started yesterday. It goes for the month of August, and select items that contain our new in colors are 15% off. So today the designer series paper that goes with the Floral Charm Suite is 15% off. So it's $14.45 instead of $17. And there's a few of those kind of designer series paper collections. There's ribbons, inks, blends, stamp pads, all kind of in color stuff that are on sale. If you want to check it out, if you go into the store and you go under specials and then in color sale, all that stuff is listed there, and you'll be able to see everything that's discounted. So that's for the month of August. So today, I think I was trying to say that I had decided not only to use the suite, but I wanted to try and do the same card, but with different colors, different shapes. So, and it's funny because I was one of Sarah, the CEO for Stampin' Up. I just happened upon her video yesterday as I had already planned this, and she was doing a sketch 3 different ways. Hers was using different product. So mine is kind of the same kind of thing where I designed the sketch. I didn't necessarily take a sketch, but if you're stuck for ideas, you can always just find a sketch of a card, of a scrapbook, whatever, and then turn it into your card. Sometimes you can take it very loosely and really go with it. Sometimes you can do it exactly how it is. So I'm not going crazy with it. They're all very similar. 2 are pretty much the exact same, only I've changed from one I'm doing monochromatic colors. The next one I'm going to do multiple colors, so you can see kind of how different it looks, just changing up your color combos. And then the last one is just changing up a few things to make it slightly different. So yeah, that is what I have planned for today. So if you're watching for the first time, let me know. Make sure you subscribe and like my videos if you're enjoying it. Share. If you're watching the replay, welcome. Make sure, feel free to comment. I do check after the fact, so I'd love to hear from you. And if you're watching right now, welcome. All right, let me get you flipped around, which is always the not so graceful part of my live. All right, let's try and zoom in a little bit. Okay. And this is the suite that, okay, so now I saw that on, oh, there we go. Okay, it is there. Just making sure my comments are there. I really need to move my iPad over because I keep looking the wrong way. This is the Floral Charm Suite, tongue-tied here. So there's the bundle, which is the stamp set, and the dies. It's a really fun die set. I'm only using 4 of the dies today. This one is for the stamped leaves, which I did not use. I should have used it. I didn't even realize that was there. And then there's these beautiful florals, which maybe I'll have to use again because these are straight cut, like they don't go with the stamps, but they cut out the shape of the flowers and have like all the details and stuff. So I might have to do that again, but today I'm sticking with the stamps and the dies that cut out the stamps. There's this pretty charming shimmer faceted dots. So you've got Petal Pink, Berry Burst, and I think this is Secret Sea. It usually says, this is what, I wish it said on here, but if you look on the listing for these, it'll tell you what colors are in there. There's this beautiful Petal Pink, I don't want to call it ribbon. It's not really ribbon. What do they call it? Braided trim. So it's kind of like your natural weave kind of trim. And then there's this beautiful designer series paper, which is on sale today, or this month, I should say. But it's always, it's available. And I know this was, I think this has gone back ordered already once since it's come out in July. And so you never know, might go again. The other one that's also is the Painterly Pears, which I did last week, and I had wanted to buy that while we had the no free shipping, and it was back ordered. So I'm sure they're all gonna be gone fairly quick. So if these are on your list, make sure you don't wait till the end of August, or maybe it'll come back by the end of August. It's not while supplies last, so it will replenish. It's just whether it's replenished while the sale is still on. Unfortunately, they don't have. I keep wishing they had. Can I get a rain check? I don't know. Is that like an old, am I dating myself? Do people do rain checks anymore? All right. So there's lots of variety of colors. Hi, Yolande. Nice to see you. All right, let's get started. That is the suite that I am using now. For my first card, I said I was going to go monochromatic. So I am using Petal Pink because I wanted to use all the pieces and parts of the suite. Let me just remove my sample card because I don't want to ruin the surprise, the ta-da at the end. All right, I am grabbing, I do not recommend doing your die cuts this way. I only did it for the purpose of Magic of Television, where we can speed things up and you're not sitting there watching me die cut things and waiting forever. So honestly, I would stamp, color, and then die cut normally. But since I wanted you to see the stamping process, but also not have to wait through the die cutting, I'm going to use my cheat here. So if you ever are, this is another good thing if you're, so I'm using my grip mat, and if you're ever doing bulk stamping, this is a good way to do it with your die cuts. So you could die cut everything and you're not trying to line it up in the end. So I'm just going to remove this. I shouldn't have put it in to start. I haven't done this in a while. And I didn't do it this way when I made my samples because I wasn't worried about how long this was taking. All right, so then I've got these mounted on blocks. So I'm going to unmount it. Hopefully it's clean enough that I'm not going to make a mess of things. And all you have to do is kind of, you can feel it kind of fit in the puzzle. And then I'm going to pick that up. And I'm going to do the same thing for this smaller one. again, just kind of, I'm gonna feel for it to kind of be sitting in there. It works even better, like if you are doing bulk, you might want to do a cutout out of the thick white cardstock or a couple pieces, and then you can really feel it grab. And then all I have to do is put my pieces in here and stamp it down. So for this first one, I'm going to be stamping with petal pink on petal pink. No, petal pink on white. I'm going to color with petal pink. Okay, I'll just do one at a time, just to keep things simple in case I made a mistake of some sort. But see how it's kind of, it's perfectly lined up. I should have washed this actually because I think it had black on it. Hopefully it doesn't stamp the black down. Oh, it's good. So it's nicely lined up. I didn't have to fiddle around. So if you've got like a whole bunch cut out, then you can just keep, like, take it out, put it in, stamp, take it out, put it in, stamp. And then you could even be doing the 2 at a time and really churn things out. Okay, I'm gonna leave that there for now because I am gonna do a couple more, but I am gonna wipe this with my chamois if I can find my chamois now that I've buried everything with my stuff. I think I need like a little side table to throw stuff in that I'm not using anymore. I'm used to having an L shape, and it's funny because I would work on the narrowest, smallest part to do the video, and then the big area was where I kind of threw everything. Anyways, the woes of videoing. I'm sure you know how that goes, Yolanda. All right, so where did I go? Now I want to color these. You could use blends. However, what I find with the blends is that if you're stamping with the watercolor ink, it really blends into the ink and your lines completely go away. So if you are a talented coloring person who can make it look awesome and real without the lines being there, go for it. But I am not. So I'm going to use, you could use a water painter, but I did not use watercolor paper. You don't have to use watercolor paper per se. My lid is a mess. I'm going to use my lid. I was going to stamp it onto the glass, but I may as well. And I am going to use watercolor on regular paper here in one of these. But just if you're worried about, if you're new to all of this and you're worried about using too much water and wrecking your paper, these blender pens come in a pack of 3 and they can pick up any ink, and you don't need one for each color. You just take a piece of scrap paper and wipe it off until there's no more color, and then you can go into your next color. Your back had to deal with your ailing AC. Oh dear. That's never fun. All right. I'm trying to go darker. I'll probably go back and add some dark rather than I'm trying to do it all at once. And I don't need to bore you and color the whole thing because you'll get the idea, and I'll show you the finished product at the end. Although my original one, I used petal pink, or not petal pink, this is petal pink. I used Pretty in Pink, and then I realized that the braided trim was petal pink. So I've switched over to petal pink. I've got a thick piece of, ooh, don't cut it, thick white cardstock for my card base. I'm just gonna score it. I find it easier with the thick stuff to pre-score it because otherwise sometimes it just kind of cracks a little. So if you want a nice finished. So then I have pre-done this and I didn't even leave it out. This is the damask embossing folder that is, it goes with the barrack motifs. It's a huge suite in the annual catalog, I want to say. I forgot to leave it out. Anyways, I'm going to brush petal pink on. So it's not, I've cut out a piece of designer series paper. This is retired. It was just petal pink and worked. I wish, I don't have the, we have designer series paper, the 6x6 designer series paper in every color that you can buy it by the color family. And for some reason, the subtles was one I don't have. Now I know I'm going to be covering the middle, so I'm going to start in the middle, and that way if I get to, usually if you do it from a glass or a silicone mat or something where you're kind of rubbing it in already, you don't get that. And with a lighter color too, you have less chance of getting that really dark. Like I did get one little brush stroke. It does kind of lighten with time, just like all of our inks. But this way I'm safe, so I don't have to be as careful or as gingerly. I can go fast and not worry if I get too much. I know it's going to be hidden. So you can put as much or as little as you want on here. And then I'm just going to get a wipe to, you can't see it, but there is color on my glass mat. And knowing me, I would put my white cardstock down and make a mess. So you can see there was some ink color there. And then I like to dry it up with just a microfiber cloth. And get that. So then I've got my thick white card base. I've got my my next layer here. I'm full of hacks today. No, it's always nice when I love learning new tricks and tips. Like I know I did that, I did the scrapbooking retreat that Stampin' Up! Put on, and I waffled because it's like, oh, you know, like I've been stamping for so long, I've been crafting for so long, am I really gonna learn anything? And you know, they were even learning from each other, the artists who do this all the time. So it was kind of cool. So I'm going petal pink on petal pink. This is I pre-cut these with the party banners, which again, it's another, there's a bundle in the annual catalog. You don't have to buy it as a bundle, but you do save. It's these party banners and then all the really nice letters, the full alphabet, and they're good sized letters. It's a very expensive bundle, but it's definitely like that would have been a good one to get during free shipping, or if you've got rewards piling up or something. So when I've got an embossing folder, I like to use my glue rather than seal, because otherwise you have to put so much seal on to make sure that it grabs on those few spots that are raised. So I think I'm gonna go this way. This way, glue just kind of grabs easier. I don't know. Then I've got, where is it? My stamp, the, it's the timeless, no, Elements of Text. I believe this is in the, I want to say online exclusives, but if you just search Elements of Text, it'll come up in this store. So you don't have to know where it came from, I guess. I'm hoping this is clean, but I guess we'll find out. Now, I probably would stamp it off if I was using a darker color, but petal pink is fairly light. I'm not too worried. Now, it doesn't fit, obviously, so I'm just gonna do a light dusting. I didn't leave it on long, and I didn't so I've got some lighter parts and some darker parts, and I'm okay with that because it's going to be mostly covered. Now, instead of putting it down as white, I'm once again gonna come in and just go over it with whatever color. I mean, there's not a lot of color left on my brush because petal pink is such a light color, but I think it'll be enough. I don't want a lot, I don't want it the same, say, as my background, but it's still kind of, you could use different pinks also if you're doing your monochromatic. You don't have to stick with just the one color, but yeah, definitely doable. So I'm gonna put these two together, and the way it actually lines up. The two petals on the leaves line up perfectly, and then it looks like one piece, which is kind of cool. And luckily I've already colored that part, so I can glue this down without worrying about it. No, so I can color it later, but so if I just line up those petals, I get it in the same spot every time, not that that really matters. Okay, and then I pre-cut some of the leaves here, and you can just put them in behind. Now, in order to put them in behind, I don't want to glue them down yet because I have not colored this, but I just put a bit of stamping seal where I want the leaves, and then I stick them on so they're flat to here. And then I come in and I put my dimensionals because this is going to get popped up. But to save myself time, and because I don't need such a large piece, rather than have it hidden in behind, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut it kind of right at the bud. So this looks like another piece of its own, and this is another piece. So now I have 3 pieces instead of having to die cut 3 different times. Then I have the happy birthday stamp, which is part of the stamp set. And I will this was just a scrap piece of paper. I'm not sure what size it is. It is almost 3/4 of an inch, which is a good size. And then you know the trick for getting an even banner angle is if you cut up I eyeballed the middle, but you can actually measure it if you really want. And then if you start at the corners and go to the middle, your flag will always be pretty close to perfect. Okay, so here's the finished one. And now I'm gonna add some of the ribbon to that because I didn't add the trim to this. I added some, these are, they were strawberry slash and pretty and pink gems. I can't remember which grouping they were from, but where did my trim go? There we go. I was thinking of getting this in behind the flowers as well, and probably doing something like this, or even a third one here, and then cutting it angled, so and then popping it up. But I need to finish coloring it. So there's your other option, but that's the monochromatic look. And I also have the gems as well that I can add that match. So I will post a picture of this finished one once I'm done coloring, or if I have time at the end to finish coloring, we can do that. All right, that's card number 1. I always forget about the coloring part that takes. I think last time I did pre-color. I magicked of television the cutting, but I didn't magic the television of coloring. I need to do that. All right, so let me remove my card so you don't see it as I pull things out. Okay, so I've got all my pieces and parts. Again, I've got my unstamped die cuts, and I'm using, these are retired, but a lot of people have them, the stitched rectangles. It works really well to fit the happy birthday on. So you can totally cut it like I did the last time, but this one has the, where's the camera? The stitched edge, which just gives it a little bit, but I did have to shrink it a little, which if you're not sure how to adjust the size of your dies, I do have a full video, and throughout a lot of videos I do show that, but obviously not going to show it today. And then I'm using the corrugated 3D embossing folder, which is also in the online exclusives, I think. So you can see I've used the same damask embossing folder. I've used the same party banners, but this time I'm using the designer series paper from the Floral Charm Suite, and I'm going to run this one through, which I probably should have pre-done, but the corrugated embossing folder. Now this is, with the 3D, it's super deep, so I do recommend wetting it first. You could spritz it with water. I find the easiest way, I'm going on the back just in case I have some color on my wet wipe, but that just makes it, it does make it curl a little bit, but you're running it through anyways, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to put that in there, and it's wet, and I'm going to run it through my Big Boss here off camera. Easier than trying to bring all that. I need to get a Big Boss cam, and then I could just switch it over. I've got to get techie, but that all costs money. So here's my corrugated banner, so slightly different look. And you can see I've already got many different colors. I've got Mossy Meadow. I took the colors, so the color inspiration comes from the designer series paper specifically. So I really like these florals. So I kind of, this obviously I thought was a little bit busy for here. So I wanted to color it and do it using that color combo. And then I've got Pretty Peacock for my leaves. And then I'm just going to stamp this using Tuxedo Black, the Memento. So I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to bring back my stamp positioning tool here. And like before, we'll come in, put that in there, put this in here, and I did wipe it. I was gonna say I didn't wipe it, but it's black anyways, but I did wipe it. Okay, we'll get her. I've seen, and I so intend to do it, I've seen people who've used the Memento ink and created a nice foam pad out of the white one of this, which comes blank. And I so want to do that because I'm not used to using the firm felt pads anymore. And I really like the way it inks with, oops. See, this is the nice thing about having the tool. You can go back, and I don't really think it inked very well there. So I'm just gonna put a bit more ink all there. That's better. Okay, so we'll pull that up out of there. I can't remember if I need this. I don't think I do, but we'll just leave it there in case I need it again. And lost my chamois again. Okay. Too many things, all the things. A GoPro on my head. Yeah, you know what? Andrew, I don't know if it still is alive, but he has had one that he never uses anymore. I know that'd be kind of, imagine trying to film using a head cam. Oh my God, you guys would be like seasick. But it could be funny. Could be the new way. I think you're onto something, Yolanda. All right. So I've got so this one, because I've used the Memento ink, which is water-based, now I can use my blends and they won't bleed and go places. So blends are a little bit quicker. I've got Peach Pie here, which I don't even know if it's a current color. I think it is. Is it? Maybe not. I just needed it because Timid Tiger is the color listed in the designer series paper, and I started with that, but it's quite dark, even though I'm going to put Timid Tiger as my darker edge piece, but to blend it. But I felt like, and even this to me was dark for, obviously I was going for the look that was on that designer series paper. So it was a little dark for what I was going for, but I do come back in and I use the color lifter to kind of lighten things up a little bit. I have not figured out, I know some people color with blends or alcohol markers and leave the white to kind of, and it has that kind of washed in really light look, and I always find, maybe I don't have the patience to leave it to kind of blend, but I just feel like it just doesn't look, and then I end up coloring it all in, and then it's darker than I want it. So like here it's still light, but I want to blend in that Timid Tiger in with the peach, so then it ends up getting darker, you know, the more layers kind of, the darker it goes. So then I kind of come back in with, like, as long as there's kind of a start line, I like to try and blend that a little. Then I come back in and kind of try and lighten it all up. I mean, it looks fine. It just wasn't really the look I was going for per se. And then that takes time too. So you can like go over it and go over it. And then if you don't wait, it'll actually get too light or it'll get blotchy. So just give it time to kind of do its thing and then you can go back again. Now, my tip probably looks funny. It was all shredded and I was having troubles coloring. I'm using Mossy Meadow here, which is quite dark. And so I cut it because it was just, you know, it won't take the color and it was just making a mess. And it works. So if your tips are shredded and have no color and it's hard to color, just cut off the part, and maybe that's bad, I don't know. I know some our markers don't, but some markers, see here, I had to do it to this tip also. These are older colors. Some marker brands have replaceable tips, and I wonder if you could replace these ones with, because obviously it's not dry, like it still has color, it's just, and I don't know, I don't usually flick with my blends tips because I don't want this to happen, and I don't use them on embossing powder, but I used to, so I don't know if I had used these or if I'm just too rough. My markers, I'm not sure why my older ones all seem to, not all, but a lot of them, maybe I just need to replace them, but they're not cheap. I wish they made them refillable. Maybe I'll have to put it in the suggestion box. Refillable and spare nibs. Because, you know, you're already, why waste plastic? I know you want to sell more, but really, let's save the environment and be able to, you know, you're still buying refills and tips. I always forget which side I'm on as I get around the flower and then I start, oops. Again. And sometimes using the color lifter can help blend that line as well. Sorry, I'm doing the whole thing because then I can put this one together and you can see how the other one was put together. And then for the last one, I am watercoloring it, so that's even faster. Speedy, speedy. I can't remember, I saw someone a long time ago use the Pretty Peacock with greens and on the leaves, and I never thought to put blue on my leaves. I don't know why. And man, it's pretty. And it was like that in the designer series paper, so that's kind of what made me think of that. But I really like the blue. So once again, kind of fit the, what am I doing here? It's not fitting. Why is it not fitting? Usually it fits. Oh, because I'm not far enough, maybe? Oh, there we go. That's why. I didn't have it at the right angle. There, and then we have our flower. Now you don't have to put the three together. You could just do two, and I'm just using two at the on the last card. So don't feel like you have to use all of it. It makes just that little bit bigger bouquet. Then I'm going to use Mossy Meadow to blend my background. So same as with the petal pink that I did. So again, especially with this one being so dark, I'm going to start in the center where I know I'm going to cover it up. That way if I get that ugly, the brush mark that I'm talking, like that, where it's just like, oops, that one's not too bad. But like sometimes if you're really, I don't know, using the glass or a piece of paper and coming off. But if you want it to be darker to lighter, then obviously you want to start in the middle and not come off of a paper. So putting it where you're going to hide it is a great way. And that was one of the, I mean, obviously I knew that, like it's common sense, but we did that a lot in the scrapbook because we were blending directly onto our pages that, that you're actually using. And so it's scary. It's like, oh my God, what if I get a brush mark? But that's why these tricks, like for something like this, you could just, go get a new piece if you really hated it. But when it's on your ready-made scrapbook page, it's like, oh my God. So having a tip like that, to hide it under something to make sure that you don't make sure it's dry and colorless. As colorless as can be. I did not score this one. And then once again, we'll glue this down. So I was, they just released the new winter mini catalog for demonstrators to pre-order. So I've been trying to figure, there's so many nice things, but I also was trying to plan my classes and my card club for the fall. I am going to change the way I run card club. A lot of people changed it last year because of the new rewards system, not having, like the workshop where someone gets host rewards each month. So I'm looking at changing that. I'm looking at doing a curated kit, kind of like a paper pumpkin, only it'll be exclusive to me. I will create it. It won't be come in a box. I'll have to mail it in a, I was thinking like either a padded envelope or like a cardboard, like a more solid so it doesn't get bent. And it would have all the pieces and parts like usual to make your cards, but it'll also have some product. So rather than you ordering a monthly amount, I would do it where the box includes product. I haven't figured out how much or how to make that work and how much it would cost to mail that, because that's the, but when I was looking at all the new stuff, I did come up with some ideas for that, and I'm pretty excited. So let me know what you think if you're interested. I can make sure I send you the info. All right, so we've got our same as before. There's the other finished one. And then like I said, for this one, I'm gonna cut this where I cut the last one, right against the little bud. So it looks like a complete, and then I'm gonna put a bit of seal here because my one leaf is gonna come out like so. And then I'm gonna put another one over here. Like so. And then I'm going to put my last one over here. you see that? I make sure I'm on camera. I'm horrible for that. Okay, like that. And then I probably should have measured it on there, but then I just have to put my dimensionals on now. Oops. And I kind of try and put them strategically so that everything is kind of held into place. So like on top of the branch and the, so there it's holding the leaf a little bit. And then we'll put one here. And we'll put one here. And then we'll put a couple of little ones kind of in the middle. To keep it up. I think that's good. You can go, that was one of the designers or the gals that did the scrapbook retreat. Everyone was making fun of her because she would cover, like if she had a piece like this, and she said it was because with photos, she said she doesn't do it on cards necessarily, but I don't know if I believe that. But you know, she was trying to say the weight of pictures weighs things down, and so she didn't want anything pushed down. But her whole entire she would probably have like 30 dimensionals on here, and it would be covered. So I always think of that when I'm putting my dimensionals on. Like I think I'm kind of in the middle of the things. And then I'm just gonna stamp happy birthday with Versamark, and I'm gonna use white embossing powder for that. So I didn't clean this off, I don't think. So let's just wipe that off. We've got our Versamark. I like to do my Versamark upside down because it is the foamy, and I just kind of, I'm not like rubbing it, I just kind of let it stick. She gets a commission. Well, you know, you do get commission on whatever you sell, but they were actually, when they were making fun of her, one of the other girls, she drank Coke Zero with she couldn't craft without having her Coke Zero, and I guess she has a lot of Coke Zero, so they were trying to decide who spends more money spending on dimensionals or spending on Coke Zero. I have no idea. I don't drink Coke, Pop, whatever, but I think they decided that Coke Zero was quite expensive and that she was actually spending more. So obviously working for Stampin' Up, maybe they get even. I think from what I can tell, most of the people who work there are also demonstrators. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So I don't know if that's the only, like they must get a discount as employees, but yeah, it's very different. But I, you know, like I didn't have to come up with a whole new card layout and what I was gonna do. I just, you know, and if you don't like these colors, then you pick whatever colors you like, and whatever, if you've got some paper that you want to use, go with those colors, kind of thing. Oh, I've got a little piece of something sticking off there. And then I would just, so again, I only need one, as I stick my arm through, I only need one dimensional on the end here because it's going to hang off my flowers, and then the rest can stick to my flowers. And just kind of pull it down like that. And then you've got your two different looks, like so. And then I didn't put it on here. I thought I had some embellishments. Oh, I did have a plan. I was gonna use the Painterly pears. Where are they? Here. because I think this might be Old Olive or this isn't, this doesn't, this is Secret Sea. So I think the green, yeah, I wish it was kind of like the designer series paper they didn't used to put the colors on. Now they put the colors on the designer series paper, but they don't on the gems. So you could put, oh yeah, that looks pretty. Need some bling. Bling bling. These are also discounted. Should it go here or here? Or maybe here? Here. I believe these ones are on sale as well because of the in colors that are on there. So if you need some pretty gems, there we go. Okay, so on to the third one where we're gonna get a little bit different. Let me put these where I'm gonna be able to find them at the end. All right. So again, let me remove the end result. And I already had stamped the flowers with, I was just kind of fooling around and using all sorts of different stuff to try and come up with ideas. So this one I had stamped in white embossing powder. My original one I did with gold embossing powder. So I'm going to do this one in white, and that way you guys can decide which way you like it better. I also decided to pull in this Just a Note bundle. This is one of the online exclusives that was released in July. So rather than have the party banner, I used this little note card, and I'm going to use, excuse me, the lines instead of the writing. And so we've got, and I also cut out, oh, I don't even have any water here. The paper clip. It's so cute. Like so I don't know if you looked closely when I'm showing this. It has like a little, what do you call it? Marker, I guess. This one's like one of those little clips that you put in that you've got two paper clips that cut out at once. This is the one that is like these ones. And then you've got this other one. It's just so much fun because they're just, you know, they're flat in paper, but it looks like you've put a paper clip onto your note card, which is kind of cool. So this one, bye Yolande. I'll try and pop in for a bit. I have an appointment this afternoon, but hopefully I can catch the start of it. You quit drinking pop in 2012. That's a long time ago. All right, Linda, you used to be a Coke drinker too, weren't you? Not Coke Zero at that time. It was, what was it? Coke sugar-free Coke? No, what was it called? I can't even remember. Anyways, I'm gonna use, so I'm using another piece of the designer series paper. It wasn't listed, I don't think, as one of the colors. Hang on, let me check. Let me check. So this says Berry Burst, which is what this is. And Blackberry Bliss as it gets darker. Mossy Meadow, which is what I used. Night of Navy. Oh, so not Pretty Peacock. Oh no, Pretty Peacock and Timid Tiger. So it doesn't tell you kind of what the brown is. I looked at the pecan pie, but it was too brown. I feel like this is crumb cake. And maybe some darker, lighter versions of crumb cake, and I find it works well, so that's what I'm using. I don't know if it's the right or wrong. It's mine. It's my version. Okay, and then I'm just gonna, again, I'm gonna just do a quick up and down because I don't want it super dark and I don't want to squish my lines so that they're all kind of different heights. So I've got that as my note card. So this is actually, if you are a scrapbooker, this is a good one to have as well, because then you can write your journaling and have lines and have it look like a little note card beside your stuff. Okay, I need to color these. Where's my, oh, right, I used 2 of these instead of the other one. So I've got my leaves. I'll put these here. So instead of having the damask embossing folder, I'm using this designer series paper as my background. And this is for my happy birthday. So let's get these colored in. So I'm going to use a Berry Burst to match the designer series paper that I'm using, and crumb cake for my leaves, just like the paper. So we've got, and I said I was going to use water painter. Now, what I like to do is I'm going to put water over here, and then I can kind of pick up and have less water, because you really don't need much. And the nice thing with the embossing powder is it kind of is like a, it's like bumper lanes for bowling. It prevents you from going, obviously if you're too crazy you will go over the line, but for the most part, if you've got, especially if you've got lots of water, it's not gonna bleed out of the line, which is kind of nice. So I'm just gonna come in here and put kind of my base color down, and then I'll, rather than trying to go dark right away like that, it's more difficult. It's nice if you can layer your color, and that's why using the watercolor paper is better. It's more forgiving. You can, oops, there I went a bit dark. Okay. You can go over it, you know, you can put some color down, let it dry, bring in a new color or more color, and you don't have to worry about your paper tearing, buckling, whatever. But I don't know why I didn't use laziness. You could totally use watercolor paper to do this if you wanted to. If it's easier, if you feel better using it. So here it's almost like a dry brush, so I'm picking up the full strength to get my dark lines. And I'm very quiet when I'm painting. I probably have my tongue hanging out. Does anyone else do that? You know, when you're concentrating, are you like a lip licker, tongue licker person, or are you better controlled than me? Okay. I can't remember what, I know my youngest, writing was difficult for him in the beginning, and I just remember we were with a learning coach, and it was amazing how, if you watch like how his lips would get so chapped and dry because he was working so hard when he was forming those letters, especially when she was making him like do them well, not just messy. It's crazy when you know kind of what to look for and watch. It's like, wow, that really is a thing. All right, so I feel like this line is not very washed in, but I don't want to put too much water, so I'm just gonna do a quick once over. Try not to go too dark, but just blend it in a little bit better. There, a little bit better. All right, as I've already cleaned it off. Okay, now I have all this color left, but unfortunately I'm going to waste it because I don't need it and I don't want to get it on anything. So all that color to waste. All right, then we're going to go to crumb cake. You're very quiet over there. Are you dealing with your AC again? Okay. Did you get this this bundle? I have so many flowers, but I never used to buy flowers because with having 3 boys, it's like, what do I need flowers for? But I do like, especially for cards. And they're always just slightly different than the last. And even I try and, I seem to, I have all these cards pre-made, but I seem to always want to personalize my cards to whoever I'm getting, especially if it's someone a good friend. I like to make it just for them. So then I try and, you know, use their favorite flower, favorite colors, favorite whatever. And a lot of times I don't have the right flower. And I had, I made one for my son's girlfriend, and hydrangeas was, and I love hydrangeas. I don't know why. I think I thought I had a bunch of hydrangeas, and I have one that I recently bought, but I thought this was like yet another one. And I was trying to go fancy on the card, and well, I was looking, and the last hydrangea one that had like pop-up leaves and stuff, I didn't buy it. And it's like, why didn't I get that one? Moral of the story, you need lots of flowers, especially if you're like me and personalize 2 favorite flowers. I might have to stop doing that because it definitely makes it more difficult. Okay, then we'll come in and do the dark. The white, definitely, the white embossing powder makes it pop. The gold is quite a different look. It's fancy, but I also feel like maybe it took away from the flowers a little bit more than the white. I'm just gonna spread that around. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Oh, darn it. I forgot these leaves. Shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. It's too quick. Good enough. Okay. And then we've got our little tag here. Oh, I don't think I only used the 2 pieces. Let's not change it up. Okay, so we've got our white cardstock here. Let me put this away before I get water. Find my lid. Okay. Then we've got our designer series paper. Make sure it's facing the right way. Some papers have a right and a wrong, some don't. But it's always so I don't know if you know, there's always a way to fix your mistakes. So I know I've done it before where I've put it the wrong way and now your card is opening the wrong side if you want to go this way, right? So rather than, what you can do is if you can't get it back off, say like I've used glue and it's been there and I didn't realize it till it was completely dry. I can't pull it off without wrecking the whole thing. You can cut this either right on the edge and stick it just straight on top of another card base, or you can cut it around and have like a thicker mat to pop up, then it pops up on the card base. So there's always a way to kind of get around your oopsies. You just gotta get a little creative. And sometimes nobody will notice and you just don't even change it. So again, I might want to put the glue over here because then I can see. So this is just the back side, but it's berry burst, so it works. Now with this, these are both the same size, unlike my banners that were one bigger, one smaller. So I'm just gonna kind of switch their angles and you'll just have a peekaboo of the berry burst. Two angles. And then once again with this, I'm going to do the same thing as last time where I put the seal and kind of, so with this one I'm only using the 2 leaves, and then this will come here, and then I think my other leaves will come out of this side here, like so. And then we need dimensionals. Okay, maybe I need one in the center here. Okay, and I don't put any on the leaves now, partly because they have slits in them and you could probably see the dimensional through it, although it is almost white on white, so you probably wouldn't, but I like that they're just kind of free, which is my, so if I want, so if you're thinking like where do I put my happy birthday, you could go higher or lower, especially just using the 2. I don't know, we'll just kind of go here like this. And then for the happy birthday, I thought I might still do it in gold, but now I'm thinking maybe it should be in berry burst with white. But I don't have that. And I forgot to put my paper clip on. I wonder if I still can. Let's see, I cut it, I have a piece of adhesive sheet on the back of here, so it's easy, I don't have to fiddle with gluing it down. Now, there's always a way to do this, and the best way is to, I want this at the front and this at the back, so what I need to do I need to cut this like so. And have this go in behind. Oop. I must be way over time, seeing as my phone is ringing, and normally I have it on silent. And then with this, oops, I shouldn't have pushed it down. This would be coming up. This, oh, and then this comes, so there could be, we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so now it looks like it's there even though I forgot. So yeah, trim your pieces if you can't get it fully in behind so that it looks like it's all the way in behind, but it's not. Yeah, so I'm gonna do my happy birthday after, and obviously, oh yeah, I'm after 1 o'clock. All right. So here it is with the white. Obviously it's missing its sentiment, but this is with the gold. I'm not sure which one I like better. What do you think? The white or the gold? Hang on, I need to put some gems, but I don't know where my gems are gonna go. Okay, I'll have to post this and I'll ask which one is the favorite. This one might be too white now that I see it with all the white, but I don't have my sentiment on. And then this one I find you don't see the flowers as much. Like this looks more defined in terms of the flowers. Hard decisions. Maybe I should have put the berry burst behind. I don't know. I could go, you know, you could play forever and ever to create that just the right look that you're looking for. All right, here's, ooh. So card number 1. You like them both. Well, but do you have one that you like better than the other? Card number 2 and card number 3. So all kind of the same layout, sketch, if you will. I just changed up a few products, but I kept the main product the same. You know, an embossed background versus a designer series paper background. But really it's all the same stuff and easy peasy and all really nice. Well, I think they're nice. I don't know. Hopefully you like them. Yeah. So those are the 3 cards. Hopefully that inspires you to go pull out one of your products and try. Use the same layout and make something. I'd love to see what you make. You can post it in the comments. You like that number 1 best. You mean number 1 is in the gold one, or you like this one the best? Yeah, if you, or tag me if you're posting it, or just if you just want to post your picture in the comments, that works too. I'd love to see what you create. All right, well, hopefully you have a great rest of your week, and I will be back next Wednesday. All right, take care. Have a great weekend. Bye.